Part 1.
You will hear a telephone conversation between a customer and the receptionist at a courier company. First, you have some time to look at questions 1 to 8.
Good morning. This is Sam speaking. How may I help you?
Hi, my name's Marco, and I'm calling to inquire about sending some goods to Canada.
No problem. What's your full name, please, Marco?
My middle name is Pronto. That's P-R-O-N-T-O.
Sorry, Marco. Just your surname will be fine. That's all we need for the form.
It's CEBRIANATORI. That's C-E-B-R-I-A-N-A-T-O-R-I.
Great. And your address, please?
I live on Grimsby Place.
Grimsby Place. Okay.
But wait, you mean the address from where the goods will be collected?
Right.
In that case, I better give you my mum and dad's address. My stuff is there temporarily until I make the move. Same street, house number 25 in Grimsby, and the postcode is GB8 6BY.
Now, Marco, tell me what you'd like to have shipped.
I'm moving to Canada, so I have a fairly big container for my belongings, you understand.
Of course. What are the dimensions?
It's 2 meters high, 1.5 across, and 3 meters long.
My, that's huge.
Tell me about it. Moving day is going to be a nightmare.
And what will this container contain, then?
Well, to start with, there's my television. I'm also taking a brand new sofa bed with me, as well as my fridge, freezer and home computer.
I see. That all sounds rather valuable. Do you know the total value of the goods in the container?
Yeah, I estimate about £5,000.
Before listening to the rest of the conversation, you have some time to look at questions 9 to 10.
Excellent. Now, shipping to Canada is not by any means cheap these days, so this is going to cost you £500?
That would nearly pay for a new TV and sofa.
It's a lot of money, isn't it? But as I said, shipping is an expensive business. How do you intend to pay then, Marco?
Credit card, okay?
Fine. I assume you are the card holder.
Actually, it's my sister's account. Mine is a little tight for me at the moment with the expense of the move, so it's either a case of ask sis or ask the parents. Which would you choose?
I see what you mean. Okay, I'll take the details in a moment and confirm the collection date. But first, let me just ask you a few questions about your move to Canada. The Canadian government requires all shipping companies to carry out a thorough check before agreeing to ship goods into the country. And part of that check is a personal profile of our customers, you see. So, why are you moving to Canada?
My girlfriend's Canadian. I'm going to live with her.
And what will be your employment status over there?
Well, I'm travelling on a working holiday visa, but I hope to secure a work-sponsored visa shortly after arrival.
I see. A holiday visa?
No, a working holiday visa. That allows me to stay in the country for 12 months, as opposed to 60 days with a holiday visa.
Okay, no.
That is the end of part 1.
You now have half a minute to check your answers.
Now turn to Section 2. Section 2. You will hear a talk by a representative of an agency that finds people to look after homes when their owners are away. He is talking to a group of homeowners. First, you have some time to look at questions 11 to 20. Now listen and answer questions 11 to 20.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. I'm glad you've been able to make it to this introductory talk about our agency, which is called Contented Homes. My name's Gary, and I'm going to explain what our business involves. But first, I'd like to tell you something about the background of our agency. We commenced operations back in 1989. And essentially, our job is to find suitable people to live in and look after other people's homes while they're away. The homeowners, people like yourselves, might be away on holidays or temporarily working in another city or country, and they want to be sure that while they're away, their home will be secure, and that when they come back, everything will be in good condition. When we first started out, we conducted most of our business over the phone, but now the bulk of it is done over the Internet. Basically, this is how it works. Homeowners come to us when they need to find reliable, trustworthy people to take good care of their home for a limited period of time. The people who stay in your home and take care of it are called house sitters. The house sitters live at your place for periods of anything between 1 month and 2 years. There are all kinds of reasons why people house sit. Some are couples, others are single. Often they're saving up to buy their own home, or they may be renovating their own home and just need somewhere to stay temporarily, or they might have just moved to your city. Although house sitters don't pay you any rent when they're living in your home, they are required to pay any bills for the telephone, gas, electricity, and so on. So for the homeowner, this is not a way to make money. When someone registers with us to become a house sitter, they provide us with some of their personal details, such as their age and occupation. I need to stress here that our agency does not carry out a security check on the people who have registered with us to be house sitters. Many house sitters have references from people whose houses or apartments they've looked after in the past. It's up to you to check those references. Allowing someone to live in your home is not a decision to be taken lightly. So we also recommend that you meet with any prospective house sitters and interview them before deciding which person or people would be most suitable to look after your home in your absence. There are similarities between house sitters and tenants, but there are differences as well. House sitters don't have as many rights as people who have a lease on a property. As the homeowner, you can give a spare set of keys to your home to a neighbor, friend, or relative. That person's allowed to drop in on the house sitters without prior notice at any time, within reason, to check that the house is in order, and the house sitters aren't allowed to stop them from entering. There are many good reasons to use the services of a house sitter. Burglars soon notice when people are away, so theft is much less likely if someone is living in your home. But it's not simply a matter of security. House sitters keep your home clean and tidy. Some of them are even more house-proud than the actual owners. In addition, many people need a house sitter to look after pets and keep the garden in order. Now, I'd like to tell you about the fees we charge. First, you, the homeowners, don't have to pay us anything. When people who want to be house sitters come to us, they have to pay $375 to go into our directory. That's where we get the money to run our service. As I said, we don't check to see that the information supplied by them is correct. It would simply cost us far too much time and money to do that. When you've decided that you want to go ahead and have a house sitter look after your home, we definitely think it's a good idea for you to take out insurance for your home. You'll find that many insurance companies prefer the higher degree of security if someone's living in your home than if it's left empty. Anyway, I hope I've given you a clear idea of our service. And now, I'd be happy to take any questions.
That is the end of Section 2. You now have half a minute to check your answers.
Now turns to Part 3.
Section 3. You will hear two students called Syria and Greg talking about some research on renewable energy. First, you have some time to look at questions 21 to 23. Now, listen carefully and answer questions 21 to 23. Hi, Greg. How did it go with the research on renewable energy? Have you found anything?
Yes, but I think it's about time we exchange our findings and discuss our next move.
You read my mind. Right, I'll start first. Germany is the very first country I dug into in order to find innovative means of creating clean energy because 15% of its national electricity supply comes from renewable sources. I found that apart from the traditional fossil fuel industry, there's a German firm that has initiated a project using kites to generate power.
Really? I've never heard of it before. How does it work?
As a substitution for traditional fossil fuels that release toxic gas into the atmosphere, the power-generating kites can function in any weather. Compared to conventional wind turbines, such kites can produce twice as much energy because the overall power density is proportional to altitude.
Sounds like an efficient way of producing power. Okay, now let me tell you what I have found. There is an American company manufacturing school buses and city buses depending solely on electricity instead of gasoline. The all-electric vehicles can save up to 20 gallons of fuel on a daily basis. This could reduce transport budgets by over $10,000 each year, not to mention maintenance savings.
Wow, impressive. If only there were more of these electric vehicles around.
Well, over the years, South Africa has attached great importance to clean energy. The nation encourages using propane gas, which can either be extracted from natural deposits or be produced organically. It is normally stored in gas canisters as a type of cooking gas. To reduce the number of kitchen accidents, a new type of composite gas canister made of fiber was introduced. It is much safer and less likely to explode, even when engulfed in fire.
Before you hear the rest of the talk, you have some time to look at questions 24 to 30. Now, listen and answer questions 24 to 30.
Now, About the survey, do you have any clues as to what kind of interviewees we should include?
How about local companies doing business on clean energy products?
Probably not the best choice of respondents. Remember the last time we asked corporate employees to do the questionnaire? Only about 5% of them were actually willing to participate.
That wouldn't be enough then. It seems we have to drop that idea. Then maybe we can ask the professors and administrative staff here to help us. They could provide their insights and understanding on energy production.
It would be ideal if they would, but I'm afraid most of them are too busy to respond to the list of questions we've prepared. I guess the students here at the university would be more suitable.
You're right, and it is a much bigger sample pool too. Also, I think we should include the locals. Their opinion is key to the promotion of renewable energy here in the town.
But wouldn't it be difficult to collect data? There's no way the two of us could go from door to door to interview all the residents.
There's no need to worry about that. We'll make it telephone interviews. That way, we'll have enough time to get sufficient data.
Good idea. What should we present in our speech?
Due to lack of media coverage, the majority of people actually have a limited understanding on renewable energy. Most of them aren't able to identify various types of renewable sources. So I feel we could start by clarifying what it is and the benefit of it compared to fossil fuels.
That makes sense. We could start with wind energy. For centuries, wind has been used to do work. With the help of windmills, farmers used to pump water from wells or turn large grinding stones to grind wheat or corn. The windmills today generate electricity. The only problem is that it might not be windy all the time, so it is crucial to choose the appropriate site for wind farms.
Well, I think we can also include comparisons between clean energy and traditional energy resources like coal, oil and natural gas.
Maybe we can look into the prospect of these conventional sources of energy. The rising cost of fossil fuels and the threat of climate change is a concern to many.
Totally. These traditional resources will deplete eventually. Renewable energy currently makes up less than 2% of the world's primary energy supply, and although growing very rapidly, it is not on course to fill the fossil fuel gap.
Nuclear energy is another type of energy we ought to mention. Nuclear power plants can produce dependent power constantly and release far less greenhouse gases than other traditional power plants. But most people feel that this type of energy is unsafe because radiation isn't easily dealt with, especially in nuclear waste and maintenance materials.
What should we end the speech with?
Have you heard about a new type of energy called hydrogen fuel? It is an infinitely renewable fuel that doesn't have detrimental environmental effects. The only problem is that it is so expensive that only wealthy individuals can afford it. But I think overall, the benefits overshadow its high cost.
I think that even though this new type of renewable energy is too expensive to use at the moment, in the long run, its price will go down and become more accessible. That is the end of section 3. You now have half a minute to check your answers. Section 4. You will hear part of a lecture about aquaculture and the fishing business. First, you have some time to look at questions 31 to 40. Now, listen carefully and answer questions 31 to 40.
So, what I'm going to talk about to you today is something called aquaculture. It has been responsible for the impressive growth in the supply of fish for human consumption. There's also been a slight improvement in the state of certain fish stocks due to improved fishery management. Aquatic food production has transitioned from being primarily based on the capturing of wild fish to the culture of increasing numbers of farmed species. In recent years, a type of genetically modified salmon has been farmed in the New England region, produced by a Massachusetts-based biotech firm. This type of fish is engineered to grow twice as fast as its conventional farm-raised counterpart. As a result, this increases the speed of the local aquaculture industry development, and thus reduces the fishing pressure on wild stock. But local residents have expressed their concerns on the potential negative effects on the ecosystem should those GM fish ever escape into the sea. Stronger, healthier and faster growing, these fish might cannibalize others or outcompete wild-type fish for food. Local decision-makers and regulators have thus pushed forward a number of measures, making it impossible for most GM fish to mate. A small percentage is able to breed only within confined pools. Despite the economic boom of genetically engineered fish, culturing traditional types of fish is still mainstream among fish farmers. Most of them prefer fish with special features, such as tuna. It is a source of high-quality protein with almost no fat. It also contains all essential amino acids required by the body for growth and maintenance of lean muscle tissue. With high nutritional value, this kind of fish will always be popular in the fish market. For the fish farming industry, incidents of fish escaping the farms has been a troubling issue over the years. Due to bad weather, nets that used to hold the fish were often destroyed. Thousands of salmon, worth nearly 220,000 euros, escaped from a fish farm in the Norwegian region in July, raising fear that they would breed with wild fish stocks. Cages were thus built to withstand storms. The frames of the cages are made of PE, which is dedicated to marine use. This material has trustable strength, resilience, and tenacity. To further strengthen it, strong nets without knots are used to support the cylindrical frame. A group of small villages on the island of Zanzibar off the coast of East Africa have been trying to develop a local aquaculture industry sustainably. They use a land-based production system that is both economically and ecologically sound. Land-based recirculation can control ocean temperature and optimize growth for the fish that are used to warmer water. All organic waste from the fish is held on land, with incoming water sterilized to avoid disease, which has historically plagued ocean-based farms. The lack of disease means that no drugs are administered to the fish. However, one problem facing the villagers is lack of suitable land on the coast for this system. Hotels and beaches open to tourists take up most of the coastal area. Another problem facing local fishermen is the scarcity of young fish used to breed the species. This predicament stems from overfishing during the previous decades. The local commercial fishing industry has been reduced by 50% for this reason, and the aquaculture industry has yet to thrive. The government has taken a set of initiatives to safeguard native aquaculture and the fishing industry. An open-air seafood market has been launched. Residents are encouraged to support local fish farming businesses by purchasing marine products. As it turns out, there is a public demand for access to locally produced, sustainable sources of fresh seafood. Moreover, local fish farmers are aided to market seaweed and oysters, both of which have additional economic values. Seaweed is used in various ways in cosmetics. Seaweed extract is often found on the list of ingredients constituting creams, soaps, shampoos, powders, and sprays. It is said to be useful in various ways, including the relief of rheumatic pain and the removal of cellulite. Oyster is a source of seafood popular among the local hospitality industry. Served with caviar and champagne, it is one of the world's ultimate luxury foods, appealing to gourmets with its succulent and delicate flavor. It thus appears to have the greatest potential for commercial culture, even though the national and international market has shown demand for marine products in Zanzibar. It is still challenging to survive in the competitive modern fishing industry. The government ought to restore the business by encouraging aquaculture, recreation, and shipping. First, it could utilize modern fish farming technology to supply more high-quality marine products. Tourism is an effective stimulus to boost its sales, and with better shipping capability, more products can be delivered abroad.
That is the end of section 4. You now have half a minute to check your answers. That is the end of the listening test.